Hey guys, Joby Harlow here with 9 Leadership. Today we're talking about the book Give and Take and the abundance mindset and the scarcity mindset and why these concepts are the key to your success. Stay tuned. A scarcity mindset is the idea that there's not enough of something in the world. Whether that's money, whether it's clients, whether it's just, enough toilet paper, for example, as a recent example. What does that do? It causes fear, anxiety, and it causes you to act out of those emotions. It doesn't help you to clarify anything. It doesn't really understand. You don't understand where you're going necessarily. You just know what you're trying to avoid. You're trying to avoid the lack of something, as opposed to moving towards what you want, the abundance of something, which is the abundance mindset. The abundance mindset approaches things from the opposite spectrum. It tells people that there's a lot of everything in the world, there's enough for everybody, and I'm not going to be afraid of anything. I'm going to move towards what I want, regardless of what anyone else is doing, regardless of what anyone else is saying. I know what I want and I'm going to go after it. And if other people want that as well, there's enough to go around. So there's no point in fighting or cutting people out or being that kind of person. Now, how does this actually influence your business or your personal life? When you approach a relationship from the scarcity mindset, you appear almost desperate. You're trying to make sure that you get what you need out of that person without needing to give anything back. You become a taker. Takers often have the scarcity mindset as opposed to an abundance mindset. Some of them are good at hiding it, and they will actually make it seem like they're abundance mindset people. But in reality, they're scared of everything being gone, so they're going to take whatever they can, and they'll screw people over to do that. On the flip side, a person with abundance mindset is going to approach the conversation by asking how they can be of service. How can they actually help someone else to do what they want to do? How can they help someone to reach their goals? Because that actually might help them reach their goals in the process. And whatever goes around comes around. So in the book, Give and Take by Alan Grant, he talks about the idea that there's 3 kinds of people in the world. There's givers, there's takers, and there's matchers. Matchers are people who are give and take, right? Everything has to end up at the end of the day. Everything has to balance books-wise. It's about, okay, I'm going to give you this if you give me this. Everything's a trade, right? It's all about quid pro quo. Now, with a taker, the idea is a little bit like the matcher, except they don't really care about giving back. Their bottom line is getting what they want. They'll lie, they'll cheat, they'll manipulate, or they'll do none of those things and still be a taker, because you don't have to necessarily be a bad person to be a taker. You just have to look out for yourself and be relatively selfish. You can have your lines that you won't cross, you can not lie, you can not cheat, but in some ways you're just focusing on yourself anyway. Those are takers. The last category is the givers. The givers are the ones with the abundance mindset, and their idea is that everyone deserves to succeed deserves at least a chance to succeed. And so they will help anyone to grow and build themselves. They'll continuously invest in other people and invest in their ideas and help them to connect to other people they need to connect with without any fear of losing on business. Their focus is not themselves. Their focus is on growing everyone else. And then they believe that everything's going to come back around eventually, whether it's through that person directly or through another person, and a chain reaction around the world. It's the idea of karma. In that book, they talk about a study that was done where they analyzed careers of folks and what kind of people are more successful, least successful, and middle of the pack. Can you guess who the least successful were? It wasn't the takers. That's probably the first answer you might guess. And it wasn't the matchers. No, it was the givers. The givers were at the bottom. The middle of the pack were actually the takers and the matchers. But who's at the top then? If the givers at the bottom, matchers and takers are at the middle, who's at the top? Well, the givers again. This is a huge spoiler for the book because that's a very important point that they make in the book, but it's awesome because it makes you realize the givers are at the top at the bottom. They're both. There are no takers at the top, there are no matchers at the top at the end of the day. The most important thing that someone can do is be a giver to dictate whether they'll succeed or fail. But it's how you do that. As long as you're a giver and take care of yourself and set boundaries for yourself and understand when there are people that are trying to take advantage of you, you can succeed and you will succeed. But if you're just a giver blindly and don't really care about yourself, in terms of taking care of your own values at the end of the day and making sure that folks are not taking advantage of you and people around you, then you won't succeed. You're just going to end up being taken advantage of and end up at the bottom. So, as you're approaching this whole thing, understand that the abundance mindset is coming from things as a concept of all ships rise with the tide. And by helping everyone else, you'll help yourself in turn. But understand also that when you do that, you got to take care of yourself. When you take on the abundance mindset and the idea of giving constantly, then you got to understand that you got to build in boundaries for yourself and make sure that you're not taken advantage of. As a taker, they're typically in a scarcity mindset. Same thing with the matchers. There's a reason everything has to balance, because they're always worried that if they give too much, they'll never get that back. Now, when you're worried about something, that means you're fearing something. When you're fearing something, you're not thinking clearly, and you're moving away from something as opposed to moving towards what you want. So, the previous video I mentioned, move towards what you want, not away from what you fear. If you're moving towards what you want, you're automatically going to move away from what you fear. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, guys. Take care and stay safe. And if you like this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that bell if you want to get notified of future videos.